Welcome to the Last Week in Denmark podcast. Each week, two of our community members talk through the top Danish news, stories, and developments, sharing personal insights and international perspectives. If you are an international living in Denmark or thinking of moving here, you'll want to listen to many of these episodes. We've got 3 complete seasons of episodes for you. During our summer break, we wanted to share with you some highlights from the most recent season. This week, we're revisiting a conversation that Fionn and Kalpita had about author Solvej Balle about her book On the Calculation of Volume, which was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize for Translated Fiction. We'll have the link to the book and the full episode in the show notes for you. If you enjoy this clip, please screenshot the episode and share it on social media. We are here to help internationals in Denmark stay informed and feel connected. Thank you for helping us reach more internationals.
A fine balance. Unlike Solvej's character, the book she wrote on the calculation of volume, which is nominated for the Booker Prize Translated Fiction.
And our third topic.
Yeah. The main character that she writes about, called Tara Selter, is in a time loop, and her life is completely out of balance. Have you heard of the author, read the book?
I have to admit, I had not actually heard of the author or the book before the announcement of the International Booker Prize shortlist. I heard a kind of soundbite-sized review from the Washington Post, which said if Samuel Beckett had written Groundhog Day, it might read something like On the Calculation of Volume. And that makes me really want to read it. So I think I'll have to, if my library has a copy that hasn't flown off the shelves for the next few weeks. But I wasn't familiar with the author before. Of course, now reading a little bit into it, I think one of the interesting things, maybe if you're coming at this as an international like me, think, oh, she's just been, shortlisted for this 2025 award. The book must be from 2025. And of course, it's not. So this is the International Booker Prize, which basically recognizes novels that are translated into English. So it can't be an English language novel originally. And it's not the original novel in the original language that is nominated. It is the translated work. But of course, yeah, so it was then interesting to see, okay, this is actually a novel which came out, I think maybe was it 2022, and was awarded and recognized more locally, or at least within Scandinavia, very heavily then. And now that the translated version, translated by Barbara Haveland, he's a Scottish translator, but living in Copenhagen. Now it's kind of making more international waves.
A short brief of hers is she is from South Jutland, and her work has been celebrated for many, many years. And I think she's been writing since 1986, if I remember correctly. And she was awarded the Nordic Council Literature Prize for this book. And now she's been shortlisted as well. The first version came out in 2022, and there's another volume. This is volume 1, and there's volume 2, which came out in 2024, I think.
As I said, I haven't read it, but I understand it's part of a planned 7-volume story. So sounds like you're really making a commitment once you get into it.
Yeah, I thought I read it as 6 volumes, and I happened to read volume 2. If you want to read volume 1, there is a long wait time for it, of course.
I can imagine.
Volume 2 was easily available, so I just jumped on it. It's an interesting book if you like time loops and if you're into that kind of fantastical journeys of characters. It's a first person, solely based on Tara and her experiences and how she is understanding this time loop and what she does in this time loop, knowing that she is in a time loop, although she does not know how she got into it unless that is covered in the first one. But in the second one, she keeps reminding herself that she doesn't know how this started and how long it's going to be. And she tries to draw inspiration and motivation through her day. It is this desperate urge that she has to explore time itself. And I think that's where Solvej is coming from. At times it becomes a bit mundane, it becomes a bit adventurous, it becomes a travelogue in some sense as well. And this exploration of time that Solvej has done quite beautifully, I think, is intriguing in so many ways. It leaves you with questions and food for thought. And I suppose that's also what Booker Prize looks into for a book. Last year I was looking into the National Book Award, and I read some of the books that were nominated and shortlisted for that, and Solvej's was one book as well that I came across. I just found out that she was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, which I find very interesting. There have been other Scandinavian authors who've made it to the Booker Prize as well, and I quite enjoy the progression and acceptance of Scandinavian literature. I think the authors here are a bit edgy in the sense of how we are more inspired by the slow life and the egalitarian society that we've built. And most authors that get picked up are also based on this background, so to speak. If you haven't, you should try and see if the book is for you, actually. Time loops and time warps is not something for me, but I was quite interested in Solvej's take on Tara's situation.
I have to admit, it really sounds like something for me. One of my favorite books that I read last year was recommended to me by a friend, and it was called This Is How You Lose the Time War. And it's a lot less fantastical in some ways than you would think from that. It's essentially a love story, but the premise of moving back and forth in time as well as space and enemies becoming lovers was incredibly interesting. So I think I'm going to have to get myself a copy, get my greasy hands on a copy of on the calculation of volume, and dive into this. But I think it's an enormous achievement. It really, really is, both for the author and the translator, and the prize recognises that. So it's 50,000 British pounds, which is split between the two of them. And this year it was the highest number ever since the prize was launched in its current format of submissions. There was over 154 books submitted by publishers for this. So I think the fact that to be on the long list was already a huge achievement, but to be on the short list is absolutely an enormous thing for a Danish author or any author. Whether you're a Dane or an international, you can be very, very proud of Solvej Balle and the experience that she's doing.
Yeah, I would also say that if you do read in Danish and fancy doing that, I'm not sure if many internationals do that, and I say that very, very aware that I do not read in Danish, but I am reading another translated book, and I can tell that a translation can be very tricky to read. If you know the original language, you can understand that the book is how the book would have been read in the original language. So you do feel that difference when you're reading even Solvej's book of the Danishness in what the text could have been. But translated fiction is incredible. And I think there are such amazing stories that come out from different parts of the world that are not necessarily in English, but also have this cultural bent to it, which I enjoy most.
Absolutely. And I think that as internationals, that speaks very much to the spirit of, even what we're trying to do here.
Hey, this is Kalpita and Golda, co-hosts of the Last Week in Denmark podcast. Did you know Last Week in Denmark offers sponsored content in the newsletter? Our reporters are producing original articles and content tailored for internationals in Denmark.
So if you have a business our readers should know about, let us write about it. Get in touch with us at reporter@lwid.dk. You can also reach out to us on LinkedIn and Instagram at Last Week in Denmark.